In light of all of the recent NSA revelations, internet privacy advocates aren't the only ones criticizing the government for the way it deals with surveillance. Internet CEOs are also speaking out against the way the NSA has handled American communications in its sweeping surveillance programs. Here's Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg.
I think it's my job and our job to protect everyone who uses Facebook and all the information that they share with us. It's our government's job to protect all of us and also to protect our freedoms and protect the economy, right, and companies. And I think that they did a bad job of balancing those things here, right? So frankly, I think that the government blew it.
And Zuckerberg wasn't alone. At an onstage interview at the TechCrunch Disrupt conference in San Francisco, Yahoo CEO Marissa Mayer said that she has made numerous pushes for transparency, but that she is at the end of her rope. Listen.
In 2007, Yahoo filed a lawsuit against the Patriot Act parts of PRISM and FISA, and you lose. So we fought, we lost. Yeah. If you don't comply, it's treason.
So if they can't fight back against the government, does anyone else stand a chance? Let's get to today's tech report with Eric Hessendahl. He's a senior editor at All Things Digital. Eric, thank you so much for joining me. Were any of these comments by either Mayer or Zuckerberg surprising to you?
They're not surprising because they're fairly consistent with the positions that the companies have generally taken so far. Facebook and Microsoft in particular, Yahoo as well, and Google in particular, they've all taken kind of a fairly consistent line in that they don't like these requests that come in from government agencies, and so they've been trying very hard to convince the government, either through litigation or to a certain extent negotiation or a combination of both, to try and disclose what the actual amount of data that they've been asked to provide actually is, in hope of preserving their reputation with their users.
I'm wondering if some of the reasons behind what they are doing. Do you really think that they care about the consumers at this point, or are these comments trying to save their own butts?
Well, they do have to save their own butts, but with the reputation of their consumers. I mean, remember, these are not just American companies; these are global companies trying to serve global consumers on a basis, and so on a global basis. And so, when these revelations about these NSA disclosures and requests, and it's not just the NSA, by the way; it's pretty much any law enforcement agency can make these requests. But the way the U.S. law is written under the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, they don't really have a choice. When these requests come in, they have to respond. They can argue and they can try to minimize the impact of the request, but they can't not respond. They can't ignore it. And so what they are trying to show through litigation and other disclosures is to show that it doesn't really happen all that often. And so in that way, it's a matter of salvaging their reputation with their user base.
Now, what do you think the companies can do at this point? Is there anything that they can do?
Yeah, they're litigating. Microsoft and Google in particular, after prolonged good faith negotiations with the U.S. Department of Justice, they've now recently said that they're going to continue and pursue litigation, a lawsuit, to force the government to actually allow Google and Microsoft to disclose the number and specifics, not the actual data itself, but information about the requests that they get from the government, whether it's the FBI, the NSA, the CIA, and so on. These requests made under FISA, these are the secret requests. And to this point, even talking about these requests has been illegal, and so it's been difficult to even have the discussion.
What if they just outright refuse to give the information to the NSA? Could they really be arrested and charged?
They could be held in some kind of contempt. It's basically a breaking of the law. The way the law is written, they don't have that choice, and companies ostensibly have to follow the law, whether they like it or not. Now, they could also lobby Congress and other bodies to try and change the law or repeal the law or something like that. And ultimately, laws can be changed by courts, but you have to remember that the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act was debated by Congress in the open several years ago, and so it's been on the books for some time. And so now we're beginning to see exactly what the law is capable of. And so at this point, all they can do is either hope to change the law through litigation or read legislation.
And Eric, this is a question that I have been asking all of my guests who come on to talk with me about the NSA surveillance program, and I will keep asking it until there's a realistic solution. How can the public protect itself from this surveillance, or can it?
You can protect yourself to a certain point. There are encryption solutions available, and when properly implemented, and that's a key phrase, properly implemented, there are ways when you can minimize or lessen your exposure to these snooping technologies. There's no absolutes. And a lot of the encryption technologies have been compromised, or there are ways through them or around them, or the unencrypted data can be found or compromised in other ways. But put your faith in mathematics. That's what some of the encryption experts are saying now. Put your faith in the mathematics and the ability of making your message difficult to read. That's a very good step.
That is a very good step indeed, and thank you for the information and also for the advice. Eric Hesseldahl, he is the senior editor at All Things Digital.